explained for you a little bit about my plan. Now let's talk about Donald Trump. Well, he has a very different plan. Take, for example, Project 2025. Just Google it. It is a detailed and dangerous plan.
So a lot of what happens is each individual statement is almost like it's made in a vacuum. And if you start to cross-reference the meaning of each statement, you'll see that there's never contradictions. So she keeps saying that it's not a laughing matter, but she laughs constantly. So, either you have the serious face or you have the laughing face, but you're just interchanging between both of them, and no one seems to notice that or want to comment on that. So on the one hand, she says concepts of the plan as if there was nothing concrete, and then she refers to Project 2025, which, by the way, while they were on the debate stage, Trump denied any involvement with. Now, there is a lot of like Venn diagram going on where there are some people related to him that might also be associated with it, but these are coincidences. Project 25 is a very broad-reaching plan, but he said he had nothing to do with it.
So on Project 2025 in his plan, Donald Trump will give billionaires and corporations massive tax cuts like he's done before, cut Social Security and Medicare. The plan on that end is to get rid of the $35 cap on insulin for seniors, to make it easier for companies to deny overtime pay for workers. You got to read the plan. I mean, the fact they put it in writing is a whole other thing to be discussed.
She's assuming that her audience either aren't listening to Trump or are just selectively listening to them or are cherry picking him. But again, it's a complete contradiction because you can't say on the one hand, oh, he has no plan, but here's all the things that he's going to do, which, by the way, he's not going to do because he's denied involvement with Project 2025. And then if you paid attention to the J.D. Vance and Tim Walz debate, which personally I actually thought was a pretty strong debate, but just because it was more of a dialogue and the two of them were listening to each other. Kamala Harris isn't capable of listening because that would mean she would have to go off script. But J.D. Vance makes a point that who is going to sit there and listen to someone lay out a 900-page plan in a 2-minute debate? This is the kind of thing that has to be done in a singular town hall on a singular subject. I remember seeing one like this probably like 2017, I want to say, maybe 2018, between Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders. It was a town hall debate specifically just on healthcare. That's what you need. You need to have time to go into each one of these individual subjects and break it down in depth. And then just a little bit about branding, but we're not going back, is it's not that chantable. You got to cut it down to as few syllables as possible. So here's some free advice. Say no way back. No way back. That, you know what I mean? That's just easier to, anyways. I don't know why I'm helping these people.
I stood up for veterans and students who were being scammed by for-profit colleges. For workers who are being cheated out of the wages they were due. For seniors facing elder abuse. And it is my pledge to you as president, I will always fight for all the American people. Always. And together, we all will build a brighter future for our nation.
I don't have any information off the top of my head in regards to her record, what she stated towards the end there about restoring money. I mean, if she accidentally stumbled her way into doing someone a favor, then so be it. But the idea that Trump's campaign is about returning to the past is nonsense. And I can tell you that because why would someone like Elon Musk be so involved in the Trump campaign at this point? Just the other day, my girlfriend and I watched the presentation from Tesla about robots, autonomous AI-driven robots, autonomous AI self-driving cars and buses. And this, well, I also saw a video about Tesla houses, but I think that one was more of like a conceptual video. I mean, it's only a matter of time, right, before he starts building houses. So you have someone in his administration who is actually tangibly working towards not only a future, but one that addresses a lot of the issues that people on the left typically have, such as climate change and affordability.
And we are nearing the home stretch. But here's the thing. This is going to be a tight race until the very end, okay? We are the underdog. We are running like the underdog. We have some hard work ahead of us. But here's the thing also. We like hard work. Hard work is good work.
So, I mean, it's probably the most future-facing campaign that I've seen in my lifetime. I'm 34 years old. And the idea that they're the underdogs in this is kind of a compliment to a campaign that's not currently in office. But you, how would you be the underdog if you have the backing of pretty much all of Hollywood, pretty much all of mainstream media, and funding from people like George Soros, who's one of the richest people in the world? You can't simultaneously be the underdog if you have the resources and infrastructure of the empire. You can't call yourselves that.
And give a middle-class tax cut to 100 million Americans, including $6,000 during the first year of your child's life, knowing again the vast majority of parents want to parent their children well but don't always have the resources to do it. And so by expanding the child tax credit, that helps a young family buy a car seat, buy a crib, do the things in that so fundamental stage of their child's development, just to get them on the road. So all of this is to say, I will always put the middle class and working families first. I come from the middle class, and I will never forget where I come from. Never forget where I come from. Never.
Well, I hope you can't hear the car alarm going off in the background, but unfortunately, I can't do anything to stop that. But what I do know is that she went to the same school as Justin Trudeau, our Canadian Prime Minister. I feel like if you're the son of a prime minister, you probably aren't going to a middle class high school unless you have a very broad definition of middle class. So this idea of a sandwich generation is kind of nonsense because that's essentially every single generation up until lately. So you would always have to care for your elders and you would always have to care for your children. And as time goes on, each part of the generation takes over the next person's role. Things have only changed more recently because of the advent of retirement homes, where families can now stick their parents into these places so that they're cared for by professionals. Um, in terms of efficiency, on paper, it sounds right because you essentially have a group of trained professionals who can look after all of these people in contained spaces. But what ends up happening is you have people who spent their entire lives working, often very difficult jobs, or raising a lot of children, which is its own set of challenges, kind of waiting to die, essentially. And speaking personally, I remember visiting my nonna on my father's side, and essentially the last 10 years of her life after Nonno had passed earlier than that was her just sitting around just waiting. Conversely, my nonna on my mother's side still lives in her home and is obviously facing a number of struggles at her age, but at least she has her autonomy. Some families, some cultures, I think, have done this better than others, which is all of your family's generation sticks together in a house so that you can all look after each other. And so the idea that this is now a new generation, actually, it's probably more false now than it's ever been because of the advent of retirement home. So it's a contradiction.
dude wants to talk about his plans, which really are about cutting taxes for the richest people, please do check out the Wall Street Journal or Goldman Sachs or the 16 Nobel laureates or Moody's, who have all analyzed the plans and said mine will strengthen the economy, his will make it weaker. So under my economic plan, we will bring down the cost of housing and help first-time home buyers, giving them $25,000 for down payment assistance so you can just get your foot in the door. You'll do the rest. You'll save up. You'll work hard, but just to help people get their foot in the door.
Now, on the subject of corporate tax rates, when I had looked into this much earlier on, around 2016, when I was first trying to gather some data on this, corporations in the United States pay more taxes than any other any other country in the world. And so obviously some companies are vile and some companies are well-meaning, but a lot of them face the same dilemma, which is, well, we're just going to have all of our money siphoned away by the government when we could just have that money safe somewhere on an offshore haven. So this is where tariffs are more important, because it prevents companies from being incentivized to have their production taken care of by somewhere else in the world. I remember, I think this was the first time Ben Shapiro appeared on Bill Maher's program, who had said that in his tax bracket, which is a higher tax bracket, definitely over $100,000 at that time, he had actually ended up paying more. So a lot of the wealthy people actually had an increase in their taxes because it was about a recalibration of it. And then anytime that, you know, a government promises or campaign promises they're just going to give you money, well, that always is going to cost you, because that money is taken out of your taxes or it's printed, which means that all the other money is inflated. So if you're looking to incentivize small businesses, incentivize parents, the only thing that is really going to work are tax breaks and tax cuts. And instead of giving someone a lump sum of $25,000, you look for opportunities to mitigate costs up to $25,000, so that money is sent into the economy correctly. Yeah. So you can definitely trust the elitists to support the elite. She could reference these people all day long, but it's the elite supporting the elite.